2025 is starting out wild. New York's politically motivated violence offs 10 people, injures 35.
What we witnessed was body after body mangled.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. If you like the content, please like and subscribe and hit that little notification bell. A U.S. military vet flying an ISIS flag rammed a pickup truck into a crowd of revelers ringing in the New Year's early Wednesday on the famed Bourbon Street in New Orleans, offing at least 10 people and injuring dozens in what officials say was politically motivated violence designed to create as much carnage as possible.
A New Year's tragedy unfolding in New Orleans earlier this morning.
Multiple people are
Finito.
and at least 30 have been hospitalized after a car plowed into the crowd.
The bad guy, Shamsud Din Jabbar, 42, grew up in Texas and served in the U.S. military for 10 years. Law enforcement sources told the Post.
Yeah, tragic. Chanley Painter joins us now. Chanley, what do we know so far?
Yeah, it is a developing story, but we have confirmed that at least 10 people are
gone
after a car drove into a large crowd celebrating New Year's on Canal and Bourbon Street. At least another 30 people had to be hospitalized. This all happening just hours ago.
He was popped and discontinued during an exchange of fire with police just after 3 a.m. Wednesday, moments after he rented his F-150 Lightning and slammed it into a crane that was blocking Bourbon Street that halted his rampage. 2 officers were wounded in the exchange but are in stable condition.
On undoubtedly one of the busiest nights of the year, with New Year's and the Sugar Bowl taking place later today. Right now, there's still a huge police presence at the scene, including the FBI, the coroner's office, and the mayor also said to be at that scene.
Police described Din Jabbar, who was wearing military attire during the attack, as hell-bent on wreaking carnage among the celebrating crowd, while sources said the black flag seen waving from the back of his truck was an Islamic caliphate or ISIS banner.
Witnesses telling local reporters, though, they heard some loud banging and then looked outside and there were bodies on the floor.
The city of New Orleans was impacted by a politically motivated attack, Mayor LaToya Cantrell said of the carnage early Wednesday, with the FBI soon confirming it was investigating an act of politically motivated violence. At least 2 improvised IEDs have been found near Bourbon Street, which sources described as boomsticks packed with nails and placed in blue coolers.
Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry posting this moments ago on X. A horrific act of violence took place on Bourbon Street earlier this morning. Please join Sharon and I in praying for all the victims and first responders on the scene. I urge all near the scene to avoid the area.
Special squads were also dispatched to a nearby Airbnb Din Jabbar is believed to have rented after a fire broke out at it some time after the attack. The attack unfolded at the intersection of Bourbon and Canal Streets in the French Quarter neighborhood, close to where revelers had gathered to watch the city's New Year's Eve fireworks just hours before the highly anticipated Sugar Bowl college football playoff game between Notre Dame and the University of Georgia. In addition to the multiple gone, which witnesses said included a child, some 35 people were hospitalized after the male driver raced down the iconic street at a very fast pace, according to New Orleans Police Chief Superintendent Anne Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, when we talk all the time about this city, New York City, and crime, and what happens on the subway, and these horrific things that happen on the streets, people being randomly punched or
Popped.
New Orleans is one of the cities that has been hit worst by this, what we would call a crime epidemic.
This man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could, said Captain Kirk, adding the driver was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did. Din Jabbar was able to gain access to the street, which is largely a foot traffic thoroughfare, because barricades that normally keep cars out had reportedly been taken down in November for a 3-month overhaul project. The FBI investigators said they were probing the incident as an act of politically motivated violence. This morning, an individual drove a car into a crowd of people in Bourbon Street in New Orleans, offing a number of people, injuring dozens of others, the Bureau said in a statement. The subject then engaged with local law enforcement and is now deceased. The FBI is the lead investigative agency, and we are working with our partners to investigate this as an act of politically motivated violence. Dude, this is crazy, man. Apparently, people saw this woman, this mother, offed right in front of them. They ran across this dude who had tire tracks on the back of him, and when they flipped him over, he also had tire tracks somehow on the front of him and was flattened. And then they said they saw this little girl that was like as flat as a pillow, they said. Man, you know, this is horrible.
Just no one was helping them. Like, that was kind of the first crazy thought we had is, why is no one helping them? They wouldn't let us out. And obviously, like I told you, some were very clearly deceased, but others were yelling out. And like it looked like something out of a movie, the way these bodies were mangled. And we had just seen this one girl outside dancing when we were walking up. And not to be too graphic, but she was flattened. Like, this was a full-size F-150 4x4, and this girl didn't even look human. And then another one had to be a mother. She was
gone
in front of us, right at my feet, just twisted, skull. I mean, I could just keep going. Another gentleman, he was for sure deceased. He actually had tire tracks over his stomach and back when they were trying to finally check on him. And another woman had got her legs pinned when he run her over. Half her body was on the street, half her body was on the curb. So she obviously was very broken, but still breathing at that moment.
Yeah.
You know, these people are never going to wake up.
Okay, so we know that he was a citizen. We know he was former military. Apparently, he worked in Texas near the U.S. border, and there's a video about him talking about his job from 4 years ago.
I just want to say hello and let you know a little bit about me. So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist. So I've taken those skills and applied them to my career as a real estate agent. What really sets me apart from other agents is my ability to be a fierce negotiator. Not only do I brilliantly market your property to make sure it gets sold as quickly as possible, but I'm also going to take every ounce of energy and put it into negotiating for you and for your property to get the best deal that you can possibly get for it.
Real estate agent to madman, running people over in New Orleans. That's a movie right there.
Well, right here behind me over my left shoulder is actually the entrance of Bourbon Street. We're right on Canal. You see still a lot of activity. The FBI is now the lead agency with this investigation, but we were also, as you were mentioning there, they're still going around the perimeter here, making sure that there's no other explosive devices. We do know that there were explosive devices found inside of the truck.
Isn't it interesting when they can no longer press the woke anti-fascist button because no one believes there's a fascist right anymore? All of a sudden, you've got the Middle East popping up right on cue. There's always a reason to need the surveillance state, isn't there?
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are working with our partners to investigate this as an act of terrorism. We're working to ensure that there is no further threat.
Just like in the 2010s, this online radicalization thing is going to start popping up again, isn't it? And they're going to use it to push that internet ID, aren't they?
We're aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates. That's why we need the public's help.
I'm getting sketched out. Why is this narrative so perfectly promoting the surveillance state?
We are asking if anybody has any interactions with Shamsud Din Jabbar in the last 72 hours that you contact us.
Why does this have Patriot Act vibes all over it? Why does this have NDAA vibes all over it? Authorities believe there are at least 4 to 5 additional suspects in New Orleans truck attack. In the wake of the devastating New Orleans Day attack on Bourbon Street, law enforcement agencies are intensifying their efforts to identify and apprehend additional suspects linked to the incident. A high-level source indicated that at least 4 to 5 other suspects involved in the planning and execution of this heinous act. I'm telling you guys, this is the new narrative, man. They think that if it's the left, they can play right-wing fascism, and then if it's the right, they can play, hey, they're coming over from the Middle East, bro. That they think they can do that. They think no matter which side, they can play some sort of narrative to strip us of our civil liberties and freedoms, man. This is the new thing. This is the new narrative. This is
President-elect Donald Trump has also responded, writing on his Truth Social platform. I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country. That statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. Our hearts are with all of the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department. The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil.
Fox News reports truck driven by New Orleans bad guy was spotted in U.S. at Eagle Pass, Texas after crossing U.S. border. A federal official has told Fox News that the truck used in the New Orleans bad guy attack came through the border in Eagle Pass, Texas only 2 days ago.
Investigations are ongoing into the motive behind the apparent attack.
If anyone's interested, Biden had something to say.
Your reaction when you heard what happened?
Well, the reaction was one of anger and frustration.
Okay, Biden, thank you so much. Why don't you go take a nap, buddy? Hey, thank you so much for joining me, guys. I hope you got something out of it. This was a wild dive into this entire event. It is sketchy to me, man. If you like these kind of deep dives, I got a lot just like this. Please check out my other videos over here. I got a really cool deep dive into that Matthew Graves dude. So check that out. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here.